welcome to you all, with all 440 of you, at the 15th Annual Community Rail Awards. And I know from the conversations that I've had with members, partners and colleagues that you share my excitement for this very special evening. And I want to extend a particular welcome to everyone here who is attending for the first time or new to Community Rail. We're really pleased to have you on board. And a special thanks to everyone involved in Community Rail who is working hard to reach out to new audiences and bring in new volunteers, new ideas and diverse perspectives. And it's important for me to say that because inclusion is becoming a real watchword for us in Community Rail. The importance of us working in the most inclusive, open and welcoming way and engaging widely across our communities was underscored in the DfT's Community Rail Development Strategy launched last year. And moreover, it is plain to see through your work and the directions that you're taking that delivering as much value as possible for your communities and people's lives is what you're all about. And wow, does that come through strongly tonight? I and our panel of independent judges, who I must give a huge thanks to, have been absolutely blown away by your passion and determination to create more inclusive, cohesive, happy communities. That's evidenced really strongly in your award entries tonight, all 210 of them. Social inclusion is an undeniable theme, which you will see for yourselves later on, running through this year's awards. A widespread and perhaps growing commitment to building a sense of community and to helping everyone, especially the most vulnerable, to be able to access the opportunities that they want and live fulfilling lives. And I congratulate all of you for your impressive efforts towards that goal. We are picking up on that theme tonight through our fundraising efforts of the evening, which is in aid of mental health charities. And we will continue at ACoRP to have a strong focus on social inclusion through our events, our training, resources and support. But while we must continue with our focus on social inclusion, I want to use this event to urge you all to focus your attentions on another pressing and interrelated concern over the coming year. It won't have escaped your attention that we are now in a climate emergency. It's been officially recognised by Parliament, many local authorities and many organisations. In recent weeks, millions of children, young people and adults have taken to the streets, in some cases giving up part of their education, not just because of their strength of feeling that urgent steps are needed, but because of the science showing that dramatic action now and marked progress throughout the coming decade is necessary to avert a global catastrophe. But we can and we must be hopeful that this can be averted. The government has adopted targets to achieve net zero carbon emissions and has been taking steps towards that. And the rail industry has put together a decarbonisation task force and set out actions to enable rail to play a key part in achieving those targets. And I know that in many, perhaps all of your communities, work is taking place to drive the transition that we need on the ground. But what is Community Rail's role in all of this? I can tell you with great confidence from research and from my nearly 3 years of experience working with you, that Community Rail can, and is starting to already, play a powerful and critical role. We can build awareness. We can lead by example. We can help our partners, volunteers, and communities to put sustainability first. And we can support and aid local people to make the behavioural shifts that are needed. And that will be really hard for a lot of people, and it will therefore take support and ongoing joined-up efforts at a community level, especially to move us away from our dependency on cars. But to realise community rail's potential fully, we need to start putting sustainability more at the forefront of our thinking and our actions. And we need to be bold, confident and clear in the way that we talk about sustainability, and the way we talk about rail as being an important part of the solution. I know this may seem like a big ask when we're already having such a big focus on social inclusion, and given that we're a grassroots movement made up of very small community organisations and volunteers, but I wanted to underline how social inclusion and sustainability are intertwined. Social inclusion is about achieving equity within generations, and sustainability is about equity between generations, not disadvantaging or harming the future for the sake of our needs now. In other words, we can only achieve true inclusion with sustainability. And the foundations that we've been laying to make community rail more inclusive stand us in really good stead, I think, for leading the way on sustainability too. And lead we can, and lead we must. And we mustn't underestimate our power as a grassroots movement to do this. Research is very clear, actually, that it's within communities where greatest hope lies for making the changes we need towards a sustainable future. And we all know from our work that when communities come together to make a change, when communities feel empowered, amazing things can happen. When we come together for the sake of our localities and our communities, we naturally start to put people and environment first. We connect with each other, we connect with our surroundings, and we recognise our power and our place in it. We start to value each other more and our natural environment more, and to take a more supportive and caring approach to the way we live our lives. That might sound idealistic, but that idea is very firmly grounded in research, and it's evidenced in the work that you all do. And let's remember that the environmental crisis is not a faraway issue. We are already and will increasingly feel the effects locally and at a personal and family level. Community rail, I think, has got a huge amount to offer in building a more sustainable future, and it's already at its heart firmly based on sustainability. We are surely all about encouraging people to access more sustainable forms of transport and empowering people to improve their local environments. But there is, I believe, much more we can do, especially to play a leadership role in joining up sustainable transport locally and enabling wider access to these modes. So my challenge to you tonight is to acknowledge your power to influence change and bring about action on sustainability, and to integrate sustainability into your plans, as you have done with such gusto on social inclusion. We can't wait to see how you are taking on sustainability at the 2020 awards next year. ACoRP will be working hard to support you in these endeavours, and you'll be hearing much more from us on this topic. Our team's enthusiasm for this is palpable and visible tonight, including on the tables right in front of you. So please draw on us. Tell us how we can help you to be and act and lead more sustainably. And the same applies to your fellow members and the growing array of wonderful partners and supporters that are here tonight. Let's continue sharing and learning from and drawing strength from one another. Because I think it's only by working together within our communities and between our communities and with partners across sectors that we'll overcome the great challenges facing our communities and our society, and bring about the sustainable, happy, healthy, inclusive future that we all want and need. Thank you very much, and I really hope that you enjoy this evening.
Welcome to Telford, everyone, and welcome to the West Midlands Railway. We're really pleased to be hosting the 2019 event. Now, for this train company, and I'm sure for many others, a strong connection with our local communities and our local neighbourhoods is an absolute win-win, making local rail services more attractive and more popular. And that goes both in rural areas, but also, as we're discovering in this train company, in urban areas as well. So good luck to everyone that's been shortlisted for an award this evening, and I hope you will all enjoy the event. Thank you.
Anybody who knows me reasonably well will know I don't do fancy award ceremonies. I don't attend self-congratulatory patting on the back sessions in the industry, but I do attend this. And the reason I attend this is because over 6 years working in the department with valued colleagues of mine on my team to try and raise awareness of the value of community rail and why it's important and why it's a part of the railway and not some alien carbuncle on the side of it, is because the rail industry needs one thing. It trades on one thing and it relies on one thing, and that is goodwill. Goodwill from our passengers, goodwill from our stakeholders, goodwill from our staff, goodwill all round, including goodwill from politicians. Community rail are the tentacles of the rail industry. You allow us to reach into communities and societies in a way that we couldn't do conventionally through our typical corporate structures. And I've been out and I've seen what you do with my own eyes. I've seen the children with enormous mental health challenges being made to feel that little bit more comfortable in navigating their way around the rail system, and hopefully giving them the confidence to come and use us and try us. I've seen you go out and reach out to people who have been prosecuted and imprisoned and are desperately trying to reform their lives and cannot find work. I've seen you reaching out to people who cannot find a home and bringing them into the fold. I've seen the improvements that you are making in diversity and inclusion and the wide range of audiences that you reach out to in the very same communities that we drive our trains through, stop at, service and support. More importantly, the very same communities that we recruit from, the very same communities we rely upon the goodwill of, the very same communities we contract with small firms in and support, the very same communities we are trying to build positive relationships with, and we cannot do that without you. You are our outreach. The rail industry is not an easy place to work in. I've, over the last few years, found it on a personal level extremely challenging and very difficult to make clear decisions, to hold a steady line, to keep your nerve when everybody else is losing theirs, and to wrestle to the ground very, very difficult arguments about making the case for what seemed to me too often very obvious cases for investing money. But at a time when the country is wrestling with its financial challenges and we have to make the trade-offs between spending on rail and spending on hospitals or schools or prisons. It isn't easy, and sometimes it can get a little bit ugly and it can get very contextual and it feels it and you take it very personally and it's not easy. So just occasionally, when you're feeling a bit kind of beaten up and down, it's lovely when Fiona or Carl or Hannah in my team come up to me and say, "You will never guess what Gerald has just done on the Morecambe line." And it just breathes a light into your life, and it just raises a smile when I see what he's doing with some of those stations and some of the slightly crazy schemes he's trying to promote up there. Is Gerald in the audience? Are you here, Gerald? You owe me after this, mate, I can tell you. So, you bring a great deal to us. The railway is going through a challenging time, and I'm sat on a table with a very good friend and somebody who I think has brought real fresh air into this industry, and Andrew Haynes. And it's great to have Network Rail here this evening. And I would really like to extend, if you don't mind, a congratulation and thanks to our train operating companies and our Network Rail routes and their managing directors. If you don't mind, join me in a round of applause for them, please. Unmistakably today, some of the toughest public service jobs in this country. There are others, clearly there are others, but those are some of the toughest and most demanding jobs. And you are a reminder, Community Rail, of why we're doing it. As difficult as it is, and as many challenges as the railway are facing, what I want to say to you tonight is that you are the best of Britain's railway.
The first award of this evening is involving children and young people, and it's sponsored by Merseyrail. This is a really important category, focusing on younger generations on whom our future depends, and of course who've been leading the way in the past year in helping us to recognise the climate crisis and put sustainability at the forefront. And as usual, we saw wide-ranging initiatives entered into this category, geared at empowering more children and young people to make a difference and to access the opportunities they deserve through sustainable means.
Third place for involving children and young people goes to Sussex CRP for Active Access for Growth. Now in second place, it's Hope Academy, Mersey Travel and Northern for History, Making History on the Chat Moss. And our winner is Community Rail Lancashire for Stand Clear of the Closet Doors.
Our second award this evening is involving diverse groups, sponsored by Great Western Railway. This category acknowledges the great work going on to involve more people in community rail in an inclusive, welcoming way that helps to build cohesive communities and tackle isolation. It's a crucial developing area of community rail work that was cited this year in the cross-government strategy on tackling loneliness, which is a fantastic bit of recognition. And the judges this year were really impressed with the increased number of entries in this category and the ever-rising standards. They said it was great to see projects that worked with participants on their terms, drawing on their views and their strengths.
Third place in this category goes to Kent CRP for the 5 Acre Wood project. Now in second place, we have Community Rail Lancashire for the On Track to Train project. And the winner is the Cumbrian Coastline CRP for the Broken Lives Mended.
Our next award is for community art schemes. This is a popular, competitive category, and the judges were very impressed with the variety of interpretations, creative planning and thought that went into many of the entries. And they were pleased to see the range and depth of community involvement and the use of art to really bring people together and promote social inclusion, and in some cases to tackle difficult issues. As usual, this category is split into 2, permanent art projects and renewable and smaller art projects. So let's start with the permanent art projects, which is sponsored by Abellio.
And third place in this category goes to the Friends of Earlham and artist Rochelle Cleary for Station Park Rust and Steel artwork. Now in second place, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Devon and Cornwall Rail Partnership for Gunnies Lake Tile project. And I'm pleased to announce that the winner is the Friends of Rosehill Station for Intergenerational Community Art Project. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the shortlist for the renewable and smaller art projects sponsored by Transport for Greater Manchester. Now, third place in this subcategory goes to Melling Primary School, Sefton Adult Learning Service, Merseyrail and Mersey Travel for the Kirkby Mosaic. In second place, it's Rail 74 CRP for Remembering Rutherglen. The winner is the Penistone Line Partnership for Dwell Time.
The next award is for the most enhanced station buildings and surroundings, and it's sponsored by Northern. More and more stations are becoming so much more than places to get on and off a train. Driven by community rail efforts, many have been transformed and rejuvenated into celebratory gateways, productive hubs, and places people can come together and take pride in their locality and their railway. This category was highly competitive this year, making the judges' choices really difficult, with some fantastic entries demonstrating what partnership working can achieve.
Third place goes to the Station Regeneration East, East Suffolk Line CRP, Wherry Line CRP for the Lowestoft Central project. In second place, it's the Derbyshire Wildlife Trust and Derwent Valley Line Community Rail Partnership for waking up the whistle stop. And the winner, ladies and gentlemen, is the Poacher Line CRP and the Bee Friendly Trust.
The next category is the Small Projects Award, sponsored by Community Rail Lancashire. This award is for projects that cost £500 or less, making great use of limited resources while delivering value for communities and their railways. The judges were delighted to see a record number of entries in this category. They were also excited by the innovative range of ideas. Many entries demonstrated the value of volunteering and underlined the generosity of those involved, giving their time and support.
But I can tell you that third place in this category goes to Poacher Line CRP and the Rotary Club of Skegness. So in second place, ladies and gentlemen, it's the Friends of Spondon Station for Creature Comforts at Spondon. The winner is Community Rail Lancashire for bringing the sunshine to Morecambe.
The next category is for the Best Community Engagement Project, and it's sponsored by Rock Rail. Now, Community Rail is, of course, all about engaging communities in their railways, and we were keen to see examples of interesting, fun projects that were inclusive and accessible to all. And this year's entries certainly delivered on that. The judges welcomed the breadth of entries, although this made judging more difficult. They were impressed by the events that acted as a springboard for long-term relationships and development.
But in third place, I can tell you in this category goes to Kent CRP for See Folk Sing on the Train. And in second place, we have Sussex Community Rail Partnership and Southern Rail for commemorating the First World War on the railways. And the winner is Devon and Cornwall Rail Partnership for Creativity Trains.
The next category is the Best Marketing or Communication Campaign. Now, the way we communicate with our communities is crucial to promoting rail travel and inspiring more people to get involved with our work. Many campaigns in this category demonstrated a high level of cooperation between partners and understanding of the target audiences, as well as an ability to promote rail travel as something special, connected to local histories and identities.
Third place goes to Essex and South Suffolk Community Rail Partnership for Mayflower Magic at Liverpool Street Station. And in second place, ladies and gentlemen, it's Derwent Valley Line Community Rail Partnership and East Midlands Trains. And the winner is Devon and Cornwall Rail Partnership for Lou Valley Line Heritage Project. Third place goes to North Notts and Links Community Rail Partnership for Gainsborough Central Station. In second place, it's the Friends of Hansforth Station for 20-year dream of step-free platform access coming true. And the very worthy winner is Leeds Morecambe CRP, Northern and Partners for Dementia and Community Rail.
The next category is our brand new Tourism and Heritage Award, sponsored by Transport for Wales Rail Services. We introduced this category because we wanted to recognise the huge amount of effort that many of you put in to promoting sustainable, community-minded tourism by rail. The judges were impressed by the variety of activities in this area and the standard of work. We had a range of entries showing innovative and successful ways of marketing local railways and heritage to a tourism audience, often encouraging use of local business, healthy activities and sustainability to boot.
Third place in this category goes to Highland Main Line Community Rail Partnership for Highland Fling. And in second place, it's the West Highland CRP working in partnership with ScotRail and Network Rail for Glenfinnan Viaduct Trail. And the winner is the Heart of Wales Line Development Company.
And now for something completely different, as we bring you the results of the photo competition sponsored by Porterbrook. In this category, we encouraged entries that help to show community rail in action. As you know, the shortlisted entries were voted for online by all of you and the general public.
In third place, it's Sevenside Community Rail Partnership, Link Age and Great Western Railway for overcoming loneliness with games on the train. And second place goes to St George's Academy, Sleaford, Photography and Art Department for The Wall. And the winner is the Friends of Goosetree Station for enjoying a break during volunteer working party.
The next award is Outstanding Volunteer Contribution, and it's sponsored by South Western Railway. This special category recognises the incredibly valuable contribution that volunteers make to community rail and their stations, lines and communities. We invited nominations for committed individuals who make an outstanding effort within their community, station group or community rail partnership. And the shortlist gives just a glimpse of the dedication, commitment and hard work put in by so many. This category is always the most difficult for the judges, as all community rail volunteers are worthy of an award.
In third place, it's Phil Thomas, lead station adopter at Ratcliffe-on-Trent Station. Second place goes to Graham Ellis for Tranwilts CRP volunteer. The winner is Julie Gibbon.
Next up, It's Your Station, sponsored by West Midlands Railway and London North Western Railway. This category covers not only station-based community gardening, but also community participation and environmental responsibility. Our two judges, Paul Bigland and Mark Barker, spent many hours visiting the shortlisted entries, travelling the length and breadth of the UK to carry out their assessments. The judges applauded the collaboration, community involvement and creativity that underpins the station adoption movement, all undertaken by volunteers.
So, beginning with the bronze level, the lead group in this banding is Driffield in Bloom. The lead at silver level is Action Stations Bingley. And our gold level leader is Market Raisin Station Adoption Group. And I'm delighted to announce that the lead platinum is Friends of Hindley Station.
And now, on to our final big awards. Next up is Outstanding Contribution to Community Rail. Now, this award enables us to recognise a team or a group that's delivered outstanding achievements, taking into account the range and breadth of their work rather than focusing in on a particular initiative. So it's a special award that's a bit different to everything else tonight, and we simply have one winner. There's no shortlist or second or third place. Now, ACoRP's first encounter with the winner of this award was via an email which read, "We've planted a few daffs and we wondered if you might like to have a look." So began a long-running relationship with this group, a small but perfectly formed group of enthusiastic individuals that have persevered, sometimes through adversity, for the good of their community. So starting with a few daffs, in fact, it was thousands, they moved on to regular station tidy-ups, attracting increasingly large groups of volunteers, even when faced with torrential rain and gales, as is often part of the experience in this part of the world. They engage with the local school. They've run many art projects, with the results displayed on the previously disused station buildings or platforms. And on completion of any project, this group always puts on an excellent launch event with fabulous refreshments and entertaining speakers. And this group has been innovative too. Their twinning was a first, and always strongly rooted in and focused on their community. But it's their tenacity and determination that's perhaps most impressive, and evidenced by the coming to fruition of their largest and most challenging project yet, the restoration of the 3-storey station building into a community hub. Out of use since the 80s, it was in a poor state, virtually derelict, and a bit of an eyesore. But after many years of persistence and several false starts, Network Rail took up the challenge, and they've now restored the building and it's ready to receive tenants, including the station partnership itself. The only drawback is where the artwork is now going to be hung, since the windows are no longer boarded up. This is an exemplar station group, but primarily a community group who work with residents, businesses, schools, and in fact everyone and anyone who can play a part in putting their station and railway at the heart of the community and making sure that everyone can benefit from it.
And I'm delighted to announce that the winner is Mytholmroyd Station Partnership.
Now we come on to our final award of the evening. Last but certainly not least, because this is another special award which we've created to recognise the passion and determination of individuals who have played a key role in the community rail movement. Now, this award looks not only at the past 12 months, but further back. This is our Lifetime Achievement Award. This year's winner is someone who has dedicated many years, and in fact decades, to community rail, going above and beyond their role more times than can be counted. They've been associated with the transport industry most of their working life, moving from driver to manager to civil servant. His association with community rail began during his time at the Countryside Agency, while administering rural bus grants. He came across the fledgling ACoRP and its general manager of the time, and he ended up entirely convinced that funding ACoRP was a jolly good thing, and how right he was. When the Countryside Agency was being wound up in 2003, he came along to an ACoRP committee meeting just to say goodbye. And he walked out as our chair. He recalls that he's still unsure how that happened exactly. He remained ACoRP's chair for the next 15 years. And during that time, he saw Community Rail evolve and blossom into the wonderful movement that we see today. He oversaw major changes at ACoRP too, including our big growth spurt and reorganisation in 2016, which we think worked out rather well. Always leading with sound judgment and good humour. In 2009, he was deservedly awarded the MBE for services to rural transport. But now we are delighted and moved to present him with another award that we hope will mean just as much. It's with absolute pleasure that ACoRP presents its Lifetime Achievement Award to Peter Roberts, MBE. A huge congratulations go out to all of our winners and everyone who's entered and worked so hard to make Community Rail the wonderful, successful movement that it is.